And we're very excited about this program. I know you folks from industry haven't been um, seeing a lot of activity just yet. We're going to talk about what's been going on in this bridge bundling space in this webinar, and it's a lot of good stuff, and it's great for the counties and the municipalities and the townships for um, at no cost. It's a federally funded program, so it's a really great opportunity for making a difference across the state. And first of all, we're gonna just do our just keep in mind that we're gonna this bridge bundling industry webinar is um, is being recorded. We're going to be reviewing questions here later on in the webinar to get some feedback from you, so that way we are developing, and we made a lot of progress on developing the program. We're just now taking care of the finishing touches on what we need this program to look like. It's a continuation for in a lot of ways of the state program, which has already been started, and we kicked that off in 2022, and we're stage, which is including off-system structures into the bundling program. It's a separate program, but it is a separate funding source, federal funding source, but it's going to be a great program for the state and a great opportunity for additional work in the state of Illinois for the contracting and consultant engineering communities. I'm going to turn it over to Holly, who's going to just do a brief introduction. Holly? Holly might not be with us just yet, but we'll take a break for Holly when and if she's available later on. um, in this webinar, we're going to have just a brief overview of the bundling program that we anticipate establishing for the off-system structures, and give you an update on where we are in the state bundling program that I mentioned. Both programs should produce some really desirable outcomes for the state. It's just more good opportunities to make a difference in the state. We're going to talk, Iowa DOT is going to be providing a brief overview of a bundling program that they undertook in their state, and that came back with a lot of positives to it as well. We're going to do some polling questions that I mentioned before, give you an opportunity to weigh in on what you think about the program based on the information we're sharing with you today, and maybe what you heard from your counties that you've been working with and IDOT. And then an open discussion. We're going to leave it even more broadly open to allow for just general comments about the program and what we're doing or what we need to be doing in the future going forward. Steps. So first, we thought it would be important to share with you kind of the agency that's overseeing the program, and that's the Bureau of Innovative Project Delivery. Innovative Project Delivery is relatively new, established in 2016. It identifies and evaluates and develops projects that may benefit from innovative approaches, and this is one of those approaches. Looking at bundling in general is an innovative approach, and then combining that with potentially alternative delivery methods such as design build, CMGC, and there's this other concept called progressive design build. So these programs, there could be some opportunities to marry up bundling with innovative project delivery, but just the fact that it's bundling in and of itself is an innovative concept that there's been lots of bundled projects in the past, but this is a program established specifically for taking advantage of bundling opportunities where they exist. Bridge bundling allows multiple structures to go through phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 engineering and construction as a bundle. It allows design teams and contractors to use efficiencies in designs, maybe more than one design, more than one bridge element is designed that design covers more than one bridge element. So you can use fewer designs. You're not designing, uh, I'm making it up, 5 individual structures. You're designing bridge elements that would apply to all 5 bridge structures. So it's less customization, but it does take advantage of those, allows for taking advantage of the economies of scale that you can achieve by allowing more than one bridge to be delivered through a common design of a part of the structure, superstructure, substructure, etc. Bridge bundling takes advantage of economies of scale, also in the applying the labor and as well as the materials for the delivery of those structures. This is some of these structures will be bundles will be delivered through, actually most of them will probably be delivered through the traditional design bid build delivery approach. But we're going to be looking for opportunities to use alternative delivery on some of these bundles. It could be many of these bundles where there's really no restriction on what we're looking at in terms of alternative delivery opportunities, which could include CMGC, design build, and design build. These are the contracting. These little boxes on the top right are the contracting arrangements between the parties, where the owner, the IDOT folks would be, under the CMGC, they'd be still responsible and providing oversight to the designer and the contractor, both, giving guidance to both of those entities. And IDOT would ultimately be responsible for those final products. A very similar process to the design bid build process, but we're bringing in that contract on a contractor on a best qualified approach rather than low bid, and we're allowing that contractor to influence that design that comes out of the process for a structure. It might be good for a large project. It's more, conducive and beneficial if it's used on a large project where there's opportunities for innovation and that designer can help. So these small bundled, straightforward structures that we're looking for, probably it doesn't really fit well, but nevertheless, there could be some opportunities there, and we're going to be looking at it. More likely is a design build approach for these simple, relatively straightforward structures, bridges and culverts that could be delivered, where IDOT would just hire a team of design that was composed of a designer and a contractor who would collaborate and either provide a firm bid up front or through a process with IDOT, deliver a guaranteed maximum price at a later point in the development of the project, and then just move forward with their design and their construction as long as it meets the performance-based specifications and compliance with the technical requirements for that project. That's what innovative project delivery can give. It can create opportunities for innovation and taking advantage of those innovations rather than just relying on the state and their value engineering processes and looking at it, with good intentions at all of the opportunities. But there could be more synergistic effect with more input from the private sector through these alternative delivery methods that could result in better value for the state. US, we have other states have undertaken bundling programs. Some might be dormant, some are regularly, adding projects. In Illinois, we plan to have this program established and to continue to identify and to add projects into this program. It's not a project, it's a program where we would be looking at bundling opportunities going forward. And going out with similar program calls to identify these structures that would make good candidates for this program. We've got lots of states here, 6 or 7 states there that are have implemented local bundling programs, state bundling programs where it's just state structures included, or is a separate program, and there's fewer states, only 5 that have both a state and a local funding program, bundling programs. So on system and off system programs are a little more rare, but we're not the first to do it either. So there's others have learned. Talked to one of the other states that has benefited from this program, from a bundling program, and it's a different program and pretty cool and something interesting to hear about um, from Iowa. That we're going to do that in just a few slides. Uh, IDOT's original goals to pursue bundling remain relevant for the off-system structures. You know, we wanted the state program and we want the local program. I'm sorry, not local. It's an off-system program. Some of these structures will be state structures. They will be, some are IDOT structures, some are other state agency structures that could be included in bundles. So this is a very kind of out of the box approach that certainly not something that IDOT has done before, but really trying to look at those opportunities for doing more than one bridge in a single project really is what it's all about. And expediting the delivery of the bridges. We want to improve connectivity. That's the goal of the state program and the off-system program. Improving the condition of the overall inventory of structures in the state. You know, in Illinois is got a very good overall condition for their structures, but there is a lot of room for improvement, and there are a lot of structures that can benefit from this program, and you'll see that as we got a slide that touches on that a little bit, how we've come about identifying these structures, and these structures are in really good need. It's a really good opportunity to take advantage of this program. It could make a real difference in the state. And then creating new opportunities and work experiences for DBEs. We always strive to look at new ways to create opportunities for DBEs. This new program is additive to the existing programs. So this program is going to create new opportunities for DBEs, and that's why we have that separate DBE webinar to talk about that and to emphasize it in that webinar more. But there is truly an additional opportunity for DBEs through this program. The IDOT state bundling program, just a little bit of information about the progress made to date on the IDOT structure, on the IDOT bundling, the state structure bundling program. These were all on system structures on the IDOT system. And it started in 2022, as I mentioned before. We have 57 structures going into 14 bundles across the state, a relatively small program right now, but IDOT wanted to have that experience to leverage into a larger program over time as it makes sense. You know, we've learned some things from the state program. We're applying what we've learned to the off-system program, and we probably will continue to learn things and be able to take advantage of those experiences to continue to grow the size of the program and the impact of the program across the state and the effectiveness. The bundles are currently in phase 1 and phase 2 engineering. They're scheduled for letting and starting in 2026. Illinois will be one of 5 states, as I had mentioned previously, that has a state and an off-system bundling program. Off-system bundling program is going to be funded and delivered by IDOT, 100% delivered by IDOT. And because it's a 100% federally funded program, it needs to meet the federal definition of a bridge, and there's specific criteria, and so we're just following that criteria for determining the eligibility for a bridge in the program. Funding is an increase in funding as a result of the bipartisan infrastructure law. So this funding, because it was such a substantial increase, we have more opportunities through this bundling program to utilize the funds available to do more projects than we've done in the past. If we keep doing projects the way we've done always, then we would fall behind as the size of the dollar value of the program has grown significantly and what we can do. Billing program, there's going to be a standalone program that would look at structures individually, individual structures. So you are not eliminating your, um, a bridge doesn't have to be in a bundle in order to move forward. A bundle is one way of getting a structure delivered in the near term. And IDOT wants to deliver as many structures as they can, and as quickly as they can. And if it makes more sense and it can be delivered more quickly as a standalone structure, then IDOT wants that to happen. And they're establishing a program to do that. And but they also have the bundling program, which could allow more structures to be delivered as quickly as possible. We don't want it to take longer through this program to deliver a much needed replacement or rehabilitation of a structure. So we should be in good shape. It's so important to make sure that we keep in mind that it's very important that IDOT and the counties and the townships work together collaboratively in the delivery of these structures. The counties and the townships and the municipalities have the relationship with the local landowners, business owners, and operators, and we need to maintain that relationship. That's a very important um, part of the positive relationship that the counties and the townships have with those locals, and we don't want to infringe on that. We want this to be a positive, IDOT wants this to be a positive experience. So there is going to be collaboration between the counties and townships and IDOT when it comes to that, you know, the design, the decision about bundling, the structures included in the bundles, the the implementation, any right-of-way issues that need to be resolved. There's going to be coordination in the actual construction start and traffic detours. Those kinds of things have to be discussed with the locals. They, they're necessary things, but we also want them to be understood and reasonably accepted by the local stakeholders as these projects are being built. So that is important to IDOT, and they plan to have a strategic plan, develop a plan for that coordination to occur in the delivery and execution of this work. Anticipated successes include completing more projects in less time, leveraging increased funding. As I mentioned before, this is bipartisan infrastructure law funding available, create new innovative approaches for DBE engagement and growth. We're in step 4 of a 5-step process. We're at the point where we've already reached out to the counties and who are coordinating with the townships and municipalities and also the IDOT district folks that are going to oversee the additional information gathering, validation of the existing information, and moving forward with and providing information about the structures so that we can identify the optimal structure candidates for bundling. You have to have a structure that meets certain criteria. And on this slide, we talk a little bit about that. We pulled data from the IDOT bridge database, and we've taken out structures that that are on the system. This is an off-system program. We've looked at structures that don't meet the poor condition requirements. These are only poor condition structures. They have to have ratings less than 4, water adequacy, bridge condition ratings less than 4, water adequacy criteria that's poor, being load posted, and then they also have to have qualities such as being relatively straightforward and small, not really good candidates for more likely to be able to be bundled rather than a standalone bridge. That if it's a big bridge, it probably needs to go forward as a standalone bridge, and that's why we've excluded those from the bundles. The counties now, as I mentioned, they've been given instructions, and they're working through providing the additional information and validating the information we pulled from the IDOT bridge database that we're using for the analysis. There are some IDOT-owned structures, and the IDOT folks are coordinating that at the same time. And so we're moving forward on identifying those optimal structures that are going to be good candidates for bundling. And in the next step, we'll be looking at those bundling opportunities and based on objectives, which we're going to ask this audience about in just a little while. Now I'm going to turn it over to Nikki, who's going to talk a little bit about the experience in Iowa on their bundling program. Nikki, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, can you hear me? Just mic check quick. Okay, perfect.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So yeah, I'm going to just chat about Iowa's bridge bundling experience. This comes mainly, and you can go to the next slide, John, for me. Thank you.
Yes.
From our experience in the 2018 CHBP, or Competitive Highway Bridge Program. So this was in the appropriations bill, this program was put out there, and it's for bundling bridges. So we decided ultimately on submitting one application with 50 agencies in it. Iowa DOT was the lead agency, and that's per the rules in the NOFO. Only state agencies could apply. We had talked with the Iowa AGC, Association of General Contractors, in the past about bundling, and we'd not really wanted to take the leap, but this opportunity came along, and you don't turn down lots of money. So we figured out a way to make it work. So we had collaboration with our local stakeholders, which include the Iowa County Engineers Association and the Iowa American Public Works Association too. That's mainly the city side of things, as well as FHWA Iowa Division. Go ahead, John. So for the grant, as you can see in the top graphic there, we had 77 bridges that we put into the application, 68 of them being county bridges in 45 counties, 5 city bridges in 4 cities, and then 4 state bridges. And those were made into 29 bundles altogether. So it wasn't one giant bundle of the 50 agencies, but 29 different bundles. So the criteria used to kind of figure out our structures for those bundles, on the county side, they got limited to 150 foot long. So those smaller kind of cookie cutter structures, you might say. So we could use some standard designs. They had to be poor or structurally deficient at that time bridges. Greater than 100 ADT just to drive the benefit cost ratio. And then they had to have already been programmed. And that was for readiness, the readiness factor for the application. So cities chose bridges from their city bridge candidate list, which is a competitive program that we already have. And then all of the structures, we did a NEPA pre-screening to kind of make sure there weren't going to be any right-of-way or environmental or cultural issues that were going to kind of bust the bundle and not get them through. So our strategy really was to just do it primarily by agency type. So state bridges, we kind of tried to bundle together. Cities, we tried to keep together, as well as counties, but we did have some cross city and county bundles where they did work together. Next, we focused on the like structure types, again, to just drive that efficiency of a contractor would get one bundle, and so they could build the same thing over and over. And then physical proximity, also trying to get those in the same geographic area. And we limited the size to 2 to 5 bridges per contract. I'll talk about why a little later. You can go to that next slide. So some of our challenges encountered, the 2 to 5 in a bundle I just mentioned was our limited bonding capacity of contractors. So I mentioned we talk with contractors ahead of time, and they let us know that not all of the contractors can bid on large bundles. So we limited that bundle size to keep the bonding capacity where it needed to be for as many contractors as we could. There was a deadline for letting all the projects per the grant application, and that was a bit of a struggle. So choosing those bundles, part of it is finding agencies that want to let at the same time, and then getting those projects delivered. We came down to the last 30 seconds of the last possible letting. It was interesting. So Iowa DOT oversight also, our local systems bureau oversees all those projects. And so crossing our regional boundaries that we have set up for internally, and then districts that do materials reviews, that got challenging. And then who signs what documents? If you're not the lead agency in the bundle, are you signing the change orders? Is someone else? We had to establish processes for that. We learned that you want to avoid historic rehabs, railroads, and crossing those district lines, anything that's going to complicate a bundle or the delivery of a project, really. And then have a plan for who shoulders cost increases if the costs maybe go up disproportionately within the bundle of the structures, depending on how that structure is set up. You want to know who's going to carry what burden. All contracts were let through the Iowa DOT. Just that's part of our standard process. We do have the numbers up there. We did apply in this particular grant. Our total estimated cost was 61 million at the time of the application. We actually, the bids came in at 75 million by the time they all got bid, and our award was 33.4, which ended up being a little less than we had asked for, but still a very good award. So bundling worked well for us. Not necessarily always the easiest. As was mentioned, you got to pick the right things. Sometimes it is not. But you can go to that next slide for me. And so we did have one contracting authority per bundle. So someone had to be the lead in each. And then each agency in the bundle just administered their own project. Each were able to have separate kind of site times for their projects. The payments were each made by the owner as if they were individual projects, and we just had interagency cooperative agreements and then funding agreements with the DOT. And sorry about the formatting on that slide, got a little messy, but you can go to the next one. And so just in Iowa, to wrap up ours, we have highway bridge programs for our cities and counties that cover both on and off system already. So we just kind of use that as a base for our thinking. But in those programs, we use a lot of bridge standards. There's anything from 30 foot to 250 feet in standards. So the kind of cookie cutter stuff that we can just throw together. So many times our agencies outside of this discretionary grant even will tie, that's what we call it, tie their own projects into a bundle. And so they use these standards, and when they have like structures, they can throw multiple into a bundle and bid them out all in one contract. And that seems to work well. Also, Appia and Back Express are just construction administration tools we use that allow all of the users to be in the files and to see everything, as well as the DOT. So those help in being able to cross agency lines and just share the information with everyone involved. I think that's it for us.
Thanks, Nikki. Appreciate it. You can ask questions about of Nikki here in this next section where we're talking about the polling questions. There's an open session where you can just ask questions, and if we can answer those questions, provided we have time, we'll be glad to do that. But now we're going to ask you some questions about the IDOT program and making sure that we've got your latest thoughts. We did a similar exercise when we did the state bundling program. We did an industry webinar just like we're doing today, but it was focused on at a different time. That was 2021. I think when we had these sessions, and so we're looking for an update. We're looking for the latest and great. Not everybody on this call was around in 2021. We're we're going to go through these polling questions, and we're going to have an open session segment here at the end where you can ask or comment on anything you want with regards to this program that we've just described to you, and just give us your honest thoughts on whether it's a good idea or bad, or what we can do to improve it. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Nelson with RM Chin, and he's gonna help us get through this polling process, and then it'll come back to me. Jeremy.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Hello, everybody. This is a fantastic section for you because this is really the first time in today's presentation that you'll be able to give your feedback to us and give us some input that will help us make this program even better. So how we're going to do this is we're going to be using Menti. So just open up a window on your browser and go to menti.com and enter this code. Or if you're on a cell phone and want to do it that way, you can scan the QR code on the right. Either way, that should take you in. And just in case you ever get disconnected, you can always look for the code right up here at the top of each one of these slides. We have the website here plus the code for this survey. So that way, if anytime you get kicked out for any reason, your computer restarts, whatever, you'll still be able to jump back in and provide that input. So I'll give everyone another 20 seconds or so to join. Most of these questions are multiple choice. There are a couple of open ends at the end. And if we do anything other than multiple choice, I'll make sure to point that out so that way you know the formatting of the questions. That way you can answer as honestly as you can. All right, everybody, let's go to our first question here, and you'll be able to see responses up on the screen here, but don't worry, they are not tagged specifically to you here on the screen, so don't worry, other people won't know exactly how you answered this question. Here's the first one. Would you be able to achieve cost savings with bundles that include all bridges or all culverts or a mix of both? I'll give you a minute or so to answer this question as the responses come through. Fantastic. Keep those votes coming through. All right, a couple more seconds here. Looks like voting has slowed down.
We are using this for structuring the program and what the program, the bundle of the size of the bundles is could play into these kinds of questions and influence how the bundles are set up. So please, I know we've got 76 people on. We don't have near as many responses, but that's the reason we're asking these questions. It's not just we do want your attention and focus on this, on the information we're trying to convey to you, but it's also going to help us with establishing a program that works well for you. And we want lots of people interested in it. It's how this program becomes a success. So I know you're on already. If you could just take a little time to answer these questions, we'd be most grateful. Thanks.
Thanks, John. It looks like voting has stalled for about 30 seconds or so. So I think we are good to move forward. Any other final responses? Give me another 5 seconds. All right, so 17 of you have all of the above. We have 7 people saying that it's a mix of bridges and culverts. 5 of you all bridges, and 1 person is cost savings with all culverts. So you've got a little bit of difference in response here, which is great. Again, like John said, the more of you that provide your input, the better we can shape this program to help you. So here's your next question. Let's take a look at this. How many structures per bundle will create the lowest cost per bridge or culvert in a bundle? Is it just 2 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 20, or is it 21 and above? How many structures per bundle will create the lowest cost per bridge or cost per culvert? It looks like we have a majority here, but we're still seeing some differing opinions. Yeah, don't let it, that's the other thing about these. Even if you're seeing this feedback come in, try not to let other people's feedback on here, try not to let other people's feedback on here sway you in one direction or the other. Again, nobody here is going to see specifically how you responded, so don't worry about possibly getting any pressure on here. Just respond as honestly and openly as you possibly can. Oh, and we got an increase in voting, which is great. Yeah, more of you join in. Remember, we have that code at the top, menti.com. Use the code 56305021. You can use your phone, you can use a laptop, you can use an iPad. Basically anything with a screen that not named a Game Boy, you can probably use to take part in this Menti poll here. So yeah, grab a device and jump on it. And the more of you that do, the better we can do here. And I'm happy it looks like our numbers have come up here a little bit. We'll give you another, oh, there we go. Somebody said 21 plus. Again, we wouldn't have known that had you not voted. So give you another few seconds to jump in here and provide your vote.
Yeah, something that we learned from the state program when we asked this exact same question is that, I think the 6 to 10 structures was a pretty common response as well. It's a good strong response here on this survey as well. We had, we have to balance the actual structures to these goals. These are, we set goals around the size of the bundles, but we in the state program, for example, I don't think we could pull any bundles that were realistic, that were practical, due to proximity and other criteria that made any sense, that big. So I don't think we had any bundles that were 6 to 10 in that range. But again, we got a lot of positive feedback the last time we did this survey. When we were establishing the state program, we just didn't have a lot of opportunity to do that. So.
Oh, very good insight. Looks like we have 40 people that voted here. 24 of you say 2 to 5, 11 say 6 to 10, 4 of you say 11 to 20, and 1 of you test 21 plus. All right. We got 40 people to vote last time, or 30 on the first question, 40 on this one. Let's see if we can push it up a little more. Here's your next question. Assuming typical DBB risk, what range should IDOT keep a bundle of structures within in order to produce good competition and achieve cost savings? What is that range? Is it 1 to 5 million, 6 to 10 million, 11 to 20 million, or 21 plus million?
Really related to your insurance and bonding requirements for these bundles. If you're a contractor, and if you're a consultant engineering firm, then your resources are the constraint on how much of this work you can do. So doesn't eliminate subbing opportunities. There still probably will be a DBE requirement, percentage requirement on these projects, consistent with any other federal project. So there'll still be opportunities, but if you feel like the size, the capital cost of for the resources that you have available, if you're a consultant engineering firm, might influence this your feedback on this question.
All right, everybody. Looks like voting stalled a little bit. Thank you for voting on this one. We have a pretty close here between 6 to 10 million and 11 to 20 million dollars, and then we have a couple people on each in the 1 to 5 million and the 21 plus. And with these questions, there is, I'll make sure to hover over this moving forward, but assuming the typical DBB risk allocation between IDOT and the contractor, with some of these questions, there is an assumption baked in. I'll make sure to hover here so that you have an idea of what that assumption is. And for the next question, Assuming CMGC or DB risk, specifically CMGC or DB risk allocation between IDOT and the contractor, what range should IDOT keep a bundle of structures within in order to produce good competition and achieve cost savings? So risk is a little bit different here, but the options are still the same. 1 to 5 million, 6 to 10, 11 to 20, and 21 plus. You may have a couple more multiple choice questions, and then we have some open-ended ones at the end as well. All right, we still got a few more of you out there that I know were voting before that I want you to continue voting. Got 34. Let's see if we can get a few more here. Okay. All right. Looks like we've stalled out. We have 23 people saying 11 to 20 million, and 8 of you saying 21 plus, and then just 4 of you saying 6 to 10 million, and then nobody said 1 to 5 million on this question, which does not seem like a surprise based on how you previously answered some of the other questions. All right, let's move on to our next one. How close in proximity would structures in a bundle need to be in order to create cost savings for the project? Would they need to be within 5 to 10 miles, 11 to 15 miles, 16 to 20, or within 20 to 30?
This had a big emphasis, a big lesson learned from the state program was that, proximity, foregoing opportunities because they're not in close proximity. We probably should have emphasized proximity more. Looking at the the needs along a corridor and focusing on making sure that corridor, you come away from that corridor with those structures, all of them in good shape, probably has a huge impact on future detours and inconveniences to the traveling public that we might have underappreciated when we were starting out with the state program. We're going to change the state program and the off system program to be, from day one, the off system program is going to be focusing more on proximity and looking at opportunities along the corridor versus having more spotty improvements, all very necessary improvements on these structures, but we might have been, in hindsight, we missed some opportunities when proximity should have been more important because of just where they were, and knowing that we were leaving structures behind that needed improvement in the near term and not capturing them in a bundle. So
thanks for your responses. Looks like most of you said within 11 to 15 miles of each other, and a pretty even split between the other 3. All right, let's move to our next one. I believe this one's more of a positive and negative, so only a couple options here. But will local hiring preferences or innovative contracting approaches create positive or negative impacts to participation in the program? And your options are positive impacts, negative impacts, and it depends. And if it depends, feel free to put some comments in the Teams chat, talking more about why it depends or how it depends for you. This is one of those things where we know that the answer isn't so black and white. There's a lot of gray area in here based on the region you live in, what sort of benefits are provided. So tell us more in the Teams chat. And we'll make sure to consider all that as well. Remember, all the feedback that you're giving us is beneficial to us making this program even better. So yeah, use that Teams chat to let us know Any ways in which it depends? All right, just a little less than half of you saying it depends. Again, use that chat to let us know in what ways it depends, and we'll take that into consideration as well. Thanks for answering that question. All right, moving on. Only got a couple more of these left, everybody. Here's your next one. And for this question, you can choose as many options as you like. All right, so you can choose one, you can choose all four, you can choose none. Which criteria seem most appropriate for aligning IDOT's bundling program with the stated goals? It's a proximity, overall condition, currently low posted, located in an environmental justice community. Remember, you can vote for more than one option in this question, but we like to see what takes priority for you here. And if you're on the phone, I just saw in the chat, thank you to, who was that just said? Oh, thanks to Matthew for who just said in the chat. If you doing this on a phone, make sure you scroll down and hit submit in order for your responses to be registered on here. All right. And one more thing, if there is other criteria, hold on to that, because the next question is going to speak specifically to that. So if there are other criteria that are appropriate that are not one of these four, hold on to that, because the next question is going to ask about that. And that's going to be our first open-ended question. All right, fantastic. We have 29 of you saying proximity, overall condition gets 25, 12 say currently load posted, and nothing for environmental justice community. So interesting feedback. All right, so if one of your criteria that you think is important is not listed here, go ahead and let us know. Just openly let us know if there's any missing criteria that's also appropriate for aligning IDOT's bundling program with the stated goals. And again, if you post anything here, it will show up, but it does not tag specifically to your name. It's all anonymous. So don't worry about your name showing up here. Obviously, using this box within the bounds of good taste, but that's just goes without saying. We're getting a couple responses here. Type of bridge. Okay, structure type. Type of work. Okay. Similarities in structure type and proposed work. Similar scope of work. Okay, that's a good one. Type and size. Okay, that seems to be a constant through line here. Feature cost. Would these funds pair with other federal monies, for instance, resiliency? Okay. John, it looks like we've got some fantastic feedback here. Some other criteria that people are identifying here on the page.
Yep.
Ooh, project readiness. That's a very good one. I'll give you another 20 seconds or so to post any sort of response here. Structure material.
Bridges in phase 1 and phase 2 engineering. It's okay if they could still be candidates for bundling, even if they are in phase 1 and phase 2 engineering. What we don't want is to them be so far along that we were going to slow them down by including them in the bundle. You know, if the phase 2 engineering, let's say, is pretty far along, well, if you include them in a bundle, it could slow down the delivery of that very important structure. You wouldn't be working on it if it wasn't, if you were so you wouldn't have made so much progress as our logic if it's, well along the phase 2 engineering process. It probably doesn't make sense for bundling because it probably would be delivered more quickly on a standalone basis, which is fine. There's going to be opportunities for standalone delivery and funding for these bridges, as well as the bundling.
All right, thanks so much for all those responses, everybody. This is
Yes,
incredibly helpful.
grateful. Thank you.
All right, 16. Okay. All right, looks like we are good here. All right, we have one more open-ended, and even if you haven't answered any questions, you can still jump in. And I've been, as part of this program, I know that everyone who has a stake in this is, has great opinions. So I want you all to include your opinions here. How can IDOT help support and or encourage participation by small local DBE firms through a bundling program? Again, feedback is still anonymous, but I'd love for as many of you as possible to just throw something in here as this is our last question. And again, we love your input. Looks like we're a little light on answers for this one. I think you provide some packages that are smaller, only open to DBE firms. Yeah. Which I think speaks to, yes, too large a bundle may be hard for small firms to deliver, low requirements. Okay. Set appropriate goals. That's a good one. Small firm might need to consider an extended timeline. All right. We'll give it another 20 seconds or so. Ooh, seminars at local establishments. That is a very good idea. All right. Thank you all so much for providing your feedback for this part of the session. I know that as we get later in the hour and later in the day, we tend to get a little more exhausted. I know that we've kept you here, but I appreciate you providing your feedback on this. And I'll kick it back over to John.
I'll bring the presentation back up.
Yes.
So the next steps, let's make sure, yeah. If you have any other thoughts on the overall bridge bundling program, just send us an email. There's an innovative project delivery contact site, and we just need the program to work well. So any feedback is greatly appreciated. Next steps, we plan to compile results from the industry and the DBE webinars. We're going to have a DBE webinar on January 31st. It's a separate registration for that one. And if you could register for that one, if you're so interested, great. We really are catering to the DBEs. It's a lot of the same information, but the polling questions are different for this. And then there's some more information just for the benefit of DBEs. we're going to be doing the structure assessment. Oh, this survey that Jeremy just went through with us is still going to be available. You know, this meeting is being recorded, so on the IDOT website we will have a way of getting back to this meeting, and looking at the video and weighing in on the survey questions. It'll still be active for another week after the 31st, when the DVE webinar occurs. So it'll be a week after that, first week in February, like the 7th, I think yeah, it has it right here on the slide. So then we're in the middle of looking at the structures. So the individual structures, and we're identifying good candidates for bundling at this point. In we're going to be focusing on bundling scenarios and trying to come up with the optimal bundling scenarios. We're going to try and come to a place where we're comfortable, where we think we've got the bundles that we need to move forward. There are no hard and fast decisions made yet on the size, on the number of bundles we're going to have in a county or a district or any of that. We're going to look at need, and then we're going to look at how we can best address that need. We have a lot of capacity, but we also want to have some equity across the state as well, to the greatest extent possible. We selected for delivery approach. Does it make the most sense to do some of these structures with design build or CMGC delivery, or should we go with the traditional design bid build delivery approach? The Innovative Project Delivery Office has a series of questions or things to consider in making that decision. And so we're going to be looking at that, at those opportunities for creating the right that make the most sense, and after the bundles have been identified, then there are projects that we can include in the 2026 MYP planning process. There's a time frame in June where we're going to enter these projects into that MYP planning process. The planning process started already. You know, we're just going to be dovetailing these projects into that process to make sure that they've been accounted for, and we can get, you know, that phase 1 and phase 2 engineering work started as soon as possible that way, by getting them into the MYP. We're going to take your questions or comments that you provided during the course of this webinar, and we're going to, you know, provide you with responses to those questions, and post them on the Innovative Project Delivery website of IDOT. And thank you so much for your time. We appreciate everyone joining today, and we look forward to continuing this relationship and this dialogue as we move forward with a very exciting program that's going to make the difference, a huge difference in the state, and looking at structures that have been needed for improvement, replacement, and rehabilitation. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.